Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mental Edge. This is episode 15, and this episode is all about the Vikings. Some of you know that my whole entire goal beyond the goal has been to win a Super Bowl with the Minnesota Vikings. And from the day I started working with athletes, that was what I needed to do to be good enough to be able to help them win a Super Bowl. So this episode is all about the Vikings. And this is not about telling them what to do. This is about giving the Vikings the ability to see a different way to use the mentality. They have so many resources that they have within this program. And I'm so excited about those resources. We've got great coaching staff. We've got great players. We've got all the pieces that we need to win a Super Bowl. But what's missing? What's missing is the ability to be aware of what we're doing unconsciously well so that we can duplicate it. Without the ability to understand consciously what you're doing unconsciously well, how do you keep going? How do you be more successful? How do you maximize those opportunities? And so this is all about understanding what you do well, how you do it well, and some of the things that what I do is different. Because at the end of the day, if I were seeing teams in the NFL maximizing their opportunity, if I saw teams that were playing to win and winning consistently in the NFL, I wouldn't even have this conversation because it would be done. We would be doing it. But how often do you see a team only lose because they choke, because they don't do what they know they can do? We went 14-2 last year, very successful season, but it wasn't good enough for me. I want to win a Super Bowl. And if they would have known in that last game, Coach O'Connell was in Sam Darnold's A circle and doing extremely well. I don't know for sure because I haven't talked to Sam Darnold, but what I do know is that he had the coach in his A circle. He was listening to him. It was adding confidence. It was adding what Sam needed all year to do what he needed to do. He hadn't had that before. So he needed Coach O'Connell in his A circle. But when it came to shove, when Detroit changed the narrative, when Detroit decided to focus on disrupting that mentality, Sam didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to adjust. He didn't know what he had done well. He didn't know how to use that to lean into his A circle, to do something different, to adjust, to win. Okay? So the conscious stuff, all of the things, telling people what to do is valuable. And so the psychologists of the world, the coaches of the world, that's all really important. The guys need to know that the navigation, they need to know where they're headed. They need to be told what to do. But without the ability for the athlete to meet them halfway, without the empowering action of the athlete to do what they need to do, how are we going to maximize the opportunities and how are we going to win a Super Bowl? Okay, so hear me out. Hear me out. I'm going to talk. So Coach Zimmer many years ago said this on a video or in a live one time, and I think it's still pretty accurate. He talked about the 4 problems that the NFL has, and in his case, his team back then. First one was getting the rookies ready for the NFL. Second one is preventing injury. Third one, getting guys back from injury. And the fourth one, winning the big game. So think about if you could help your guys, what would that save you for a team? What would that bring you for a team? Just talk money for a second. How much money would you gain just by being able to get the rookies ready for the NFL faster, preventing injury, getting guys back from injury, and winning the big fucking game? Okay, let's win the big fucking game. So how do we do that? All right. So if you're only trying to fix what's happening is unconsciously happening. Our thoughts are not like, okay, let me take the first one. Getting rookies ready for the NFL. So all the rookies are so freaking talented, right? They come into the NFL and they haven't even had to think about what they were doing. Most of the rookies, other than maybe Adam Thielen, right, come into the NFL with what I call a doing strategy. They're just doing it. They don't have to think about it. And then what happens is they get to the NFL and the doing strategy doesn't work. Why are NFL players only in the NFL an average of 3 years? It's stupid. It's like so annoying to me. But what that tells me is they're not able to understand how they are doing what they do well consciously. It's an unconscious process that we need to bring awareness to so that they can maximize their opportunities in the NFL. So for instance, you got a guy that comes into the NFL, he's just doing it, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. His mind and his body get disconnected, and once there's a disconnect, all kinds of things get between the mind and the body. And those are I'm so excited, sorry. Those are the symptoms. Lacking confidence, negative self-talk. What if I get fired? What if I can't do it? What if I can't kick the ball in a big game? What if we can't win? And then once they get disconnected, all kinds of things can go wrong. That's where you have injury. That's where you have guys imploding on the field without even any contact. Teddy Bridgewater, right? He got injured. It wasn't even a contact injury. He imploded. How are they imploding? The pressure. If they can't have a strategy to manage the pressure, how are they going to figure it out? But it's an unconscious process. It's not that they're aware of it. So what do people do? Get out of your head. Don't think about it. Just do it. If that worked, we would all be perfect. Okay, so if you're trying to fix an unconscious process with a conscious idea, that doesn't work. So the doing strategy is a great option. I teach the doing strategy, but if it doesn't work, we need to know how that athlete does well. Some guys are kinesthetic. Some guys are auditory. Some guys are visual. Okay. But the learning strategy, because what happens is if we don't give our mind a job to do, it'll create its own job and it won't be helpful. And that's what's happening. And then they have all these negative thoughts, what I call in their A circle. And then those are controlling them. Whatever's in our A circle is what's controlling us in the moment. Whatever's in our A circle is what's making decisions for us. So when I teach A circle, we can say, okay, when you missed the kick in that big game, what was in your A circle? Oh, I was worried that I was going to not make it. Do you see how that was controlling you? Yeah. Are you okay with that? No. What do you want to have in your A circle? That's where the learning strategy comes in. My daughter was a D1 gymnast, and her first year at Ball State, she called me and she said, Mom, the mental skills coach here tells us to visualize ourselves on the beam. And she said, when I do that, I see myself on the side of the beam. I said, yeah, don't do that. I said, Livy, it's the learning strategy. She talks her way through her skills. Okay? She doesn't visualize herself because she's not visual. Visual goal setting is different than visual learning. If you're just telling your guys to visualize themselves catching it, some of them, it may work really, really well. Others, they may see a black hole. They may see themselves doing it wrong. We have to find out for each guy what works best for them. Do you feel your way through the catch? See your way through it? Talk your way through it? Think your way through it? Some kind of combination? None of them? What works best for you? With that connection, with what they need to do mentally to connect to their body in the moment, that's now what builds. That's the success mentality that each individual needs to have to be able to use that, build on that, practice that, so that in the big game, they're not distracted by the crowd, by we're worried about the money, whatever. That's the beginning of the connection mentally to the body physically that is needed for your guys to maximize their gifts, their talent, their ability. Without that, they're just trying. If your people are not consciously aware of what they do unconsciously successfully, then we're just trying. Okay, getting the rookies ready for the NFL. How much money would that save you? Big deal. Okay, it's a big deal. We want your guys to play their best out of the gate. JJ McCarthy's injured. How does that happen? He got disconnected and then he got out of his body and then he gets injured. And to bring up my second point, preventing injury, the way to prevent injury is to get each guy to be in his body. And it sounds so simple that it probably doesn't, you're probably like, whatever, but I'm right. Okay, trust me. To prevent injury, you have to know how to stay in your body. You have to know how to be successful. You have to be consciously aware of what to do so that you can stay in your body, so you don't get disconnected, because that when you're disconnected mentally from your body, that's when you get injured. And injury creates a break in the action. It takes the pressure off, because the only time athletes don't have to worry about stuff is when they're injured. So teaching them how to manage their A circle, teaching them how to manage the pressure, how to manage the things that are in their head, the negative thoughts. It's not about overcoming. It's not about telling people to get out of their head. It's about acknowledging what is in their head so that they can be in charge of it. If I have pressure in my A circle, once I am aware of that, then I can use it to my advantage. If I have anxiety in my A circle, by being aware that I can actually manage it and decide what I need to do with it, it gives me the power over it. Without the A circle provides space between me and my thoughts. With space between me and my thoughts, I can then acknowledge them. I can replace them. I can kick them out. I can do what I need to do in the moment. Without that ability in the moment, your guys are just trying. The doing strategy is great. Most people want to just do it. They don't want to think about it. But if you don't give them an option with how to manage it, that's why you've seen guys only be in the NFL for 3 years. That's why you're seeing people choke. Okay? Preventing injury is so important for a football team. Teaching the guys how to manage themselves so that they can manage the pressure gives them the ability to not get injured. And injury patterns. So many people get injured and then come back stronger. So many people have a negative component within a success mentality that, how many of your guys have a negative component? They come back stronger, they struggle, and then they punish themselves, and then they're successful. We don't need that in the NFL. We need to be aware of those success patterns with those negative components so we can take those out. So they don't get injured again. My biggest concern for JJ is without the ability to know A circle, because what does he have in his A circle coming into this season? What if I get injured again? When we're thinking about what we don't want to do, that's what we're bringing to us. If I see a girl fall off the beam, I'll say, what were you thinking when you fell off the beam? I was thinking I didn't want to fall off the beam. Without managing their A circle when they're playing the game, how are they going to not get injured again if that's what they got in their A circle? Without relying on your body as you're training it, as you're doing PT, as you're coming back, without building that confidence from the inside out, that's where I worry a little bit on the guys who have been injured and then they keep getting injured. And so as long as they have, I don't want to get injured in my A circle, that's not a helpful thing. It's not a bad thought, it's valid. I don't want them to get injured. But without a way to manage that for that individual, how are they going to figure that out? They're just going to work around it. They're just going to try to not get injured. Well, that's not working. That doesn't work. So preventing injury and getting guys back from injury, winning the big game. I teach a strategy and I created A circle when my daughter came home from gymnastics and couldn't do her back walk over on the beam. Since then, I've worked with Olympians, every single sport, from car racing to horseback riding to Taekwondo. I have people on the Olympic teams. I've worked with I have a professional snowboarder. It's it's all about the mental side when it comes to maximizing your opportunity and playing to your potential. It's not just about doing okay and settling. It's really about going after it. And I don't want to work with somebody who doesn't want to really go after it. I don't want to work with somebody who's looking for the next scapegoat to make an excuse. So if we don't win the Super Bowl, I can blame that guy. I don't want that. I want to work with somebody who wants to maximize their resources and use these strategies in a way that we can not just win something, but really perform in our potential from the bottom up, from the top down, right? I've been working with 30 athletes a week for the last 10 years straight. I've been doing the work from the bottom up. I know what works and what doesn't work. I want to work with a team from the top down. I want somebody to maximize these strategies and not just use a circle, but really play to their potential individually from the coaching staff, from the ownership, to the individuals, to the community. I want to teach every 5-year-old a circle. I want to teach everybody how to build on something, how to create something, how to use who they are. When people are so connected, their mind and body are on the same page. Their conscious mind and their unconscious mind are connected. Who they are, when who they are is connected to what they do, that's congruity. That's when people are being their best. When they have the ability to connect those dots and then move from that perspective, nobody can argue with that. They're doing their best. And then we fill in the gaps and we consciously navigate what they need to do with that connection. That's what's amazing. That's what I want to do. That's what's available to the NFL, to the Twin. I'm a Minnesota girl. Do I want to be the consultant for every single team in Minnesota? Absolutely. I want to work to win, to maximize the opportunities for the Twins, for the Vikings, for the Wild. The Timberwolves are doing pretty well, but for them as well. To the Lynx, they do well too. But I want to bring more awareness to what they do well consciously so that they can use that more and practice it and build on that. Okay? Goal beyond the goal. Goal beyond the goal is a strategy I created because I liked goal setting, but I didn't like pressure on a goal. When you've got a guy that's got the goal, what if I miss the kick in my A circle? He's hesitant, right? He's holding back. If I have a goal beyond the kick, that's going to keep me mentally connected to my body and create a window of opportunity instead of a wall. How many teams do you see lose because they don't know how to play to win? The Vikings actually have a really good mentality of playing to not lose. That wins them a lot of games, 14-2. But if they understood how to adjust that to maximize their resources, to know how to win and use it on the other side to play to win, they can play to lose, play to not lose and win, but they can also play to win to maximize their opportunities to win more games. That's the gap. That the conscious, with what they're doing consciously, they're doing really well. But filling in the gaps to what they need to know on what they're doing unconsciously well, bringing that conscious awareness gets them to their potential. Just think what can happen if we could do that. That's what I want to bring to the table. That's what I want to add to this team. That's what I know is available to you, and I can do it. I want a conversation. I want somebody that wants to work with me on this. I want to work from the top down. I want to teach goal beyond the goal. My daughter was a senior in college, and I could tell she was struggling mentally. And I realized that she didn't have a goal beyond gymnastics. She had been training 25 hours a week, 25 hours a week since she was 5. At 5, she was training 9 hours a week. And then she was in the optional program and D1 gymnast. So she was training 20 hours a week for her entire life. So when I talked with her, I said to her two things. I said, Libby, what's your goal beyond the goal, beyond gymnastics? She said, I want to get a job. I'm like, okay, that's a good thing. We need a job. You're going to get a job. So that is, we're going to use all the resources that you've learned through gymnastics, and we're going to use them beyond gymnastics. You're going to use them to get a job, and we're going to do that. But what legacy do you want to leave behind? What do you want people to remember you by? What do you want to teach them from who you are and what you do? And what do you want them to remember you by as you leave this sport? That got her connected. That got her to a different goal beyond the goal mentality that supported her. There's not very many people I saw that season who were seniors who did well, because they didn't have that connection. They didn't have a goal beyond the goal, beyond the sport, to stay connected in. Goal beyond the goal can be used short-term and long-term. Brett Favre was great at goal beyond the goal. He never worried. He was never attached. There was never an expectation attached in his A circle. He threw the ball freely without an expectation on what was going to happen. He knew it wasn't in his control, but he did that really, really well. Teaching goal beyond the goal, teaching these strategies to people gives them the ability to maximize their resources individually and then as a team. That's what I want to bring to your program. That's what I've been thinking about since the day I started this. I've been a Minnesota fan. We used to play at halftime. My mom and dad had 3 girls, and their best friends had 3 girls. And we used to go at halftime and play football. 6 girls and our dads. And, you know, those are the Chuck Foreman days and the Fran Tarkington days. And I just wanted to win a Super Bowl. And so when I started this business, that was my goal beyond the goal. I hope you guys see this. I hope you want to work with me. I cannot wait to support your amazing program and maximize your resources and help win a Super Bowl. Let's go. I'll see you soon.